And now joining us, we have Justice Ojienoh, a legal practitioner who is here to talk about how the past election went. Good evening once again, and thank you so much for joining us on our news. All right, if you can hear me, could you please share your thoughts with us on the just concluded Ondo governorship election?
Okay, I can hear you loud and clear. First, I think that it was a show of shame. It is a sign that there is serious retrogression in the way we conduct our elections in this country. Despite the fact that it was an off-cycle election and there's supposed to be more staffers of INEC on deck, in fact, and the security operatives too, and everybody just concentrating on Ondo State, it was a grand show of shame. There was a serious thuggery, violence, and one of the worst case scenarios of vote buying in the history of elections in this country. So that's generally my take, and I'm seriously disappointed in the rank and file of INEC and every other major stakeholder that ordinarily would have just made this a walk in the park.
Okay. So for the election, like you mentioned, vote buying seemed to be an issue. Could you please tell us what are the existing laws and regulations that prohibit vote buying in Nigeria, and what are the challenges faced in prosecuting such cases?
Okay, the major law, of course, especially the present one that is affecting vote buying in Nigeria, is the Electoral Act, and it criminalizes uh, purchasing of voter cards and inducing voters generally on election day and all. And I commend you to the provisions from running from section 117 of the Electoral Act through 126. You will see that it is abundantly replete with sufficient provisions to nip this malaise in the bud. But again, we have a situation where we have beautiful laws on our books, but implementation has always seriously been the challenge. The political will to prosecute some of these offenders are not there because the persons who actually carry the winners in the election too perpetuated and perpetrated parts of these vote buying. So they will never even have the political will to prosecute the persons who won the elections for them and the persons on the other side too who participated in exactly the template mode of winning an election in Nigeria. So that's why it will never ever practically be nipped in the bud. Unfortunately, so we feel that if by any chance maybe we have another Yaradua that can rise up and say that his own election that puts him in the office was not free and fair. Maybe that's the day where we'll be able to get a proper political will to actually fight these actions that ensure that it is the politicians that choose themselves for the office and not they don't bother for it to be the people that choose them for the office. Maybe that's when we'll be able to really fight this. But as long as these people keep recycling themselves in power using these weaknesses in our system, I do not think that we will be able to arrest these developments in the coming years.
Okay, all right. So, what reforms would you recommend to strengthen Nigeria's legal framework against vote buying?
Okay, my major reform would be for there to be a separate courts, separate tribunals to handle electoral offenses generally. And I'm not the first to prescribe this. So many lawyers before me have prescribed this, and that's why it will also be the lowest hanging fruits from my lips that this is one way that we should go. Another thing that I think that we should do is to ensure that INEC itself is not made a respondent in electoral petitions, because if you make them respondents, they will go all lengths to prove to you whether rightfully or wrongfully, that they were up to the task. And there is a presumption of regularity pursuant to our Evidence Act in their favor, that anything a INEC does or anything any INEC staffer does is right, and it is for you now to prove them wrong. And we know that in order for you to prove them wrong, sometimes you need to get documents from them. Sometimes you need to get depositions from them, and they will not depose to you in good faith. They will not make the documents readily available to you in good faith, because it will make them a smack of shame and odious odor. So that is why it is very, very important constitutionally and legally to separate them from the parties who are contending in any electoral dispute, so that they will be made to be fair, to be in the middle at least as much as possible, so that we'll not be having this theater of the absurd that we keep having every time there is an election in Nigeria. I think that with those two and the strengthening of our institutions generally, the police should have lesser roles in elections. We should have more national orientation. We should let the people know that the day you sell it, elections are one day, but the consequences in Nigeria are 4 years. So the day you sell it, it doesn't matter how they tag this, they even tag this election Diboko Sebe, meaning that in Yoruba it means vote in a particular way and cook a pot of soup. We should always remember that one pot of soup is not enough to cater for the electorate for 4 years. So when we keep national orientation agency, we empower them and we allow them educate the people from time to time. When these politicians come with these attempts to buy their votes, they will not sell, and sometimes they may even collect the money, which is also criminal, and vote according to their conscience.
Okay, all right. We thank you so much for being a part of our news at this time. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
All right, that's Justice Ojienoh, a legal practitioner.